Hello world. Welcome to the Brand Identity Design Business Podcast. My name is Jason. I'm your host. And as you know, and if you've been following us from the past 3 weeks, you know we are doing this 6-part mini series called as the Branding Fuckery. And the aim of this series is to deep dive into the world of branding, specifically personal brand. We're going to uncover some shit and tell you the actual freaking truth with Phyllis on the house. She's going to be giving us some dope-ass insights on personal branding, what to do, what not to do, stuff like that. You're going to really enjoy this conversation. If you have been following us, please follow us again. Oh, I'm sorry. If you have not been following us, please follow us. Do follow the show and please follow Phyllis. I also have links to all the previous episodes under the show notes. I also have links to the book which we are referring to. So Philip came up with this nice cool idea to write a book, which I so love. The book has its personality of its own, and it speaks into a lot of things which people would not consider normal. I really like the book, and it's really super cool. So you can get a hard copy and the ebook. All the links are mentioned in the description. Just in case if you are new and you don't know who Phyllis is definitely a book author at this moment of time. She's also a renowned brand strategist and entrepreneur. And she was a part of a very big restaurant business, and she had to let go of that business. She has to find her voice, and she got into branding. And now she's one of those individuals who is really dominating this space with her expertise, not only in terms of branding, strategy, and even leadership skills. If you are those individuals who really want to know how to get shit done and how to run a business and how to effectively have that distinction between your personal brand and your professional brand, Phyllis is the go-to person who is going to help you do that. So let's actually cut the bullshit off. Let's actually move into our story. Last time, Phyllis, as you know, we finished on part 2, contemplating what was right for you, and you also spoke about objectives, how it guides you. So we covered all of that. So today, I think we should stick to the next next segment of your book, or excerpt as we call it professionally. It's called dedication. So now what I want to ask you about dedication, you state that in your book, dedication makes you very resilient. Can you provide me examples of individuals or brand you feel has achieved recognition through dedication, and how did they differentiate themselves?
You know what? In all honesty, I cannot. And the only reason I say that is because I don't know what people are dedicated to when they do their thing. And because the way I describe dedication in the book is that dedication is easy as breathing. So when you're doing something, especially when you're building your personal brand, there are certain things that we're dedicated to within our personal brand because we want to bring that piece of it into our business. And that level of dedication is how can I put it? One of the examples I use is that I'm committed to my husband on paper. I signed a contract and all that shit, so I'm technically married. But I'm dedicated to that dude in my heart, even without the paper. So I can always stay true to him because it's as easy as breathing. You can't roll up on me and make me do anything to go against him, even when he's wrong. I'm still by his side. That's how dedicated I am. So, but if I just left it up to the commitment, it would be like my first marriage. I was committed on paper, but in my heart, I knew I should never have married him. Love him to pieces. We're still friends again now, but I should not have married him. So when you're talking about dedication within your personal brand and having it line up with the mission of the business brand, then it makes for greater impact. And so while business brands have mission that others can tie into, the dedication that you bring to this is on a different level because your personal brand is always maturing. That's one of the things I say is it has the opportunity to mature and grow. So while your business is scaling, you're growing as a person. And the things that you stay dedicated to from before you were this to now doing this, sweetie, that old saying is like, you know what? I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. That is dedication because you do not change for anybody, even when they throw money at you, even when they throw mud at you. You still stay true to this. And that's the type of dedication that you bring to your personal brand. You can't make me stop saying that people are not brands. I will continue to say that. I will continue to say that branding is a pimp game because I understand the pimp game only slightly because it was part of my younger days. But knowing that you have something dedicated to this whole thing, I know Cass's dedication is to creating an ethical work environment. But it's not just that, it's about the culture that she wants companies to have and having this interdependency. She doesn't just talk about ethical strategies because it's like, you know what, it needs to happen. No, she's true to this because she's seen what has happened when things aren't going ethically, when she understands that processes are not in place to make everybody accountable for the shit that they said they were going to do. And especially with you being the business leader, I know that. I know what Vanya is dedicated to outside of his wife within his business because he wants to create this whole edge and this vibe and the things that he designs and he brings to the forefront. And so it's not about, you know what, let me just go make some pretty shit. It's not about the logos, but it's also about, you know what, I need you to understand that even though I don't live in the US, I should not be diminished for my talents. Because one of the things that we started bringing to the forefront for them is that people treat people differently because they don't come from the US. When he told me that someone told him if he wanted a professional, he would hire somebody in the US. And I know Vanya's level of talent. If y'all seen my website and my book cover, that's some Vanya shit right there. But when somebody told him if I wanted to hire a professional, I would hire somebody from the US because they wanted to pay him less, and I'm talking way less, that shit made me angry. The whole mother vibe in me, no, we're not going to do this. So I know part of what he's dedicated to is changing the dynamic of how he's seen or how businesses are seen within his country. Because Vanya's from Serbia. And having people see him not as a person from Serbia, but as a fucking designer extraordinaire, that's a whole ass dedication. And so there's all these different things that we stay dedicated to that even we don't even think about it because it's as easy as breathing. It's like, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. Let's make it a whole ass vibe. Let's understand where we're coming from when we're trying to have impact with the work that we do. And I don't care what kind of work you do, because I focus on service-based businesses and so forth, but it doesn't matter what type of business you're in. The thing that you're staying true to, sweetie, nobody can move you. And if they can move you, then it's because you were either intimidated or it was never yours to be true to in the first place. That's my 2 cents.
Woo!
So people's dedication is different for everybody. But I can't say what you're dedicated to because you're not saying it.
Yeah, this was super cool. I'm so sorry. I thought you were gonna stop, but you.
That's okay. That's okay. Come on with it.
But that was really fire. That was really fire. And everybody else who are listening down in the audience, please, there is an emoji button on your screen. You can use those emoji button and applaud for Phyllis or show the heart emoji or whichever one you feel like, because I think she said some really fire ass shit. So that is super cool. Dedication makes a lot of sense. I appreciate you sharing all that content, and I appreciate you giving a shout out to all those individuals. Even if they are from a different country, you are still respecting their work and their craft, and you're still trying to represent them, pay them equally, and not consider them inferior. I have personally experienced this. I have a lot of clients who did say that because I'm from India, they wanted to pay me less. So I have experienced this. First off, I'm positive many individuals who are actually listening to the show may have also experienced it. Do not worry. They're also good people. They're also bad people. So it's like a mixture of both. Just work with the individuals who will treat you with respect and stuff like that, right, Phyllis? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's actually move on. Okay, and I really would encourage people to click on the 3 dots. Okay, if you go under the event comments, you should be able to find Phyllis' book. And I'm not doing the show just to promote Phyllis' book, but I think it's fire, and I think her content is fire. And see, we are openly telling you what's in the book as we speak on this podcast. So it's not like we are hiding anything away from you folks. So whatever it is, we're just speaking on it. So let's actually move on. Second question which I have. I read specifically in your book, real shit from bullshit. So please speak on that. Help people understand what is real shit from bullshit in life and business, and how does dedication contribute to separating this?
A lot of times, because we all know about Maslow, whatever, but the hierarchy of needs. And one of the things that he says that we all need is we need food, shelter, clothing, those kind of things. And because we're in our early stages, and especially for those that give up our jobs in order to start our businesses, we're in survival mode. And that's at the bottom of the list. It's like, I just need to make enough money to survive. And when we get to that point, sometimes that's when the bullshit comes. It's like we will do any and everything outside of what we said we wanted in order to make the money that we said we wanted to make. And I'm not discounting myself from that dynamic, because I did that in my old business. Oh my goodness, it was crazy. But when we settle for the bullshit, it kind of becomes like a crack addict. And again, speaking from experience, because I know some crack addicts from way back in the day. But part of what we get stop laughing, Brian. But we get stuck on this whole crack type of thing where we steady settle for the bullshit. And so when it's time for you to level up, you won't, because you're afraid of the real shit, that you are going to lose some clients and customers because now you're trying to get to the real deal. I'm making some money, so now I don't have to settle. But because you settled in the first place, shit gets hard. And now people recognize you for some bullshit that you never even wanted to bring to the forefront. And you decided that, you know what, I can't afford to let go of this crack money. This is my addiction right here. Money is addictive. Hell, we all want good shit. We want nice shit. We want to travel. So we settle for this bullshit. And what ends up happening, Zarar, is that his name down there? He keeps laughing. But when we settle for this bullshit instead of the real shit, then we start to come down on ourselves. And we have to have this real conversation with ourselves. And y'all know I talked about in the last episode about talking to ourselves. If we're having this real conversation, we're going to have to face some real shit, some real life and death kind of situations, as far as like, okay, is my business going to live or die if I change? If I get to the real shit that I actually wanted to do when I started this? Or do I have to keep settling for the bullshit? Because when I talk about branding out loud and you putting all of your life on display for the sake of a fucking algorithm, then you're doing bullshit. When you start showing me your toes and your toast instead of what you can fucking do within your business, your expertise, your education, if you're not showing me these things, why am I engaging? I love that you can bring a tune. Who is it? Ryan Anthony down there? Oh, I love to watch him play his guitar. But also, I know when I watch him play his guitar in his videos, his captions is about his business. And he finds a way to tie that love of his music to his business. So it makes sense. It's like, you know what? I'm just in my Zen moment right now, because I know his creative mind is working while he's plucking those strings, because I just understand it. I don't know how to play a fucking instrument to save my life. But I can understand the mood that you can get when you're plucking and you close your eyes and you're thinking, it's like, how am I going to get this client whatever they said that they wanted? And it puts him in a real shit kind of mode. And it's not the bullshit of taking everything in. When we go back to contemplation, contemplation is not about searching for answers that already exist. Contemplation is about sitting in your shit and like, let me think about, what do I really fucking want? And not because Simon Sinek said start with why, but because I just need to fucking know. I don't have to do what everyone else does, because the thing about a personal brand is that even though I tell you don't take this shit personally, I get to do what the fuck I want. I don't have to go out here and do competitive analysis and so forth, because the thing that ends up happening when I do competitive analysis, when I start doing market research and everybody's saying, oh, well, you should do this and you should do that, then I start doing what you want. And now I'm getting into the bullshit instead of doing the real shit that I know how to do and do well. That's where my real shit comes from. It doesn't matter that you said you need and want that, sweetie. Let me find somebody to help you with that, because I'm not that one. That's not within my realms of gift, talents, and abilities. So it's not for me to do or help you with. But when I understand that I need to separate the real shit that I know how to do from the bullshit you're asking me to do, then I'm staying true to the game. And that crosses over into how you build your business and your brand and the people that you bring in. Because at some point, if you want to grow on scale and you now have to work with people, then you start to create a brand family that everybody's on the same page. And one of the things, like even with one of my clients now, and I talked about him last week, and because he's my bratty brand baby. That's what I call him, my bratty brand baby. But one of the things that I'm doing now is actually working with his staff. It's like, you know what? We all got to build this brand together. This is not just his thing. If you're going to stay here and you know you want to stay here, then you got to be part of the brand building process. And it goes back to Cass saying, you know what? You got to be part of the process, because you are not building this shit alone. Even though you're giving people paychecks and you see them as a liability on your spreadsheet, they're actually the assets that are going to be the brand ambassadors and advocates that you want for the real shit that you want to put out into the world. And so when we get to the dynamic of understanding what we want to separate the real shit from the bullshit, yeah, we're going to get caught up in some bullshit. But I promise you, the real shit that you want to bring out into the forefront is going to not be a polished ass turd. It's going to be some fucking gold. And it's going to be what people connect with you with in order to understand, you know what? I know he had to do that in order to get by and to get his stuff out here and get these things done. But he's getting to the real shit. Now we're going to work together. We're going to do some things. We're going to go make some money. So that's what I consider the difference when we start talking about contemplation and dedication. You're dedicated to the real shit. You just get caught up in the bullshit. And once you let that bullshit fall away, you're going to be all right.
I absolutely love this. Please do not settle for bullshit. Settle for the right shit. Okay, recognize early on that you have to go with the good shit, no matter how stuck you are, and because you're absolutely right, Phyllis. Sometimes we get known for the wrong reason, and it takes a lot of work to build that reputation over again. It's just extra work, and it's exhaustive and all those things. I appreciate you sharing it. Now I want to also ask you another thing, and an audience who are listening, we would have a Q&A in about 20 minutes. So if you do have questions, do not hesitate to raise your hand. I'll let you know when, and like I said, I'll let you know when.
Yeah, I was like, let me go.
and remember that this conversation is being recorded. So if you do come up, we are gonna make money out of your shit. So whatever you say, just letting you know. So anyways, okay. So my next question is related to the excerpt again from the book. You speak about the difference between dedication and commitment. Now, why do you say dedication is considered to be more focused on fulfilling a purpose than fulfilling an obligation? Would you mind speaking into that?
When you're fulfilling a purpose, like I said, especially if you're monetizing what you have a purpose in, because a lot of people think that because this is my life purpose, I should not charge. It's just in me to do. Sweetie, it's okay to put a price tag on it. But we get it in our head that, you know what, I'm dedicated to changing the world. And it could be in small ripple effects, and that is not a bad thing. But even in the small ripple effects, the thing that you're dedicated to and the things that you want to change and have impact in, why is it not okay for you to not sell it to a corporation? Because the corporation is going to try and take advantage of it. You'll go work for them to have that impact and that change. But for some reason, you feel like it's wrong to do it for yourself. You'll accept a paycheck for it, but you won't accept a profit for it. What the fuck? Why is that not okay? If you can go out and do this thing and fulfill your passion and your responsibility to the world that you think that you have, that you're dedicated to changing, when everybody's out here, I'm a Black person. In case y'all didn't know, I'm a Black person. And there are all these people out here that would have the signs and all this stuff when Black Lives Matter was forefront and all out there. I didn't go around shouting I'm Black and Black Lives Matter. Sweetie, that was already a thing for me. But for some reason, it had to be vocalized and it had to be brought out, and all these things were happening, and cancel culture, if that's even a thing, all these things came out. And while we don't hear it anymore, people are still dedicated to the cause. Even with the Me Too shit, I'm still pissed off about that, because Me Too started as a movement because a young Black girl went to a Black woman and went and told her that she was being molested. And then everybody else came up and said Me Too. Now, this woman is still dedicated to this cause. But Hollywood, when they was all jumping up talking about these men were taking advantage of them and doing all this bullshit, and yes, y'all got a fucking trigger warning because I don't give a fuck. But when all these Hollywood people came out talking about, oh, Me Too, then y'all had a problem with it. That was some fucking bullshit, because the Black woman that started Me Too is still at the base of the thing. She's still helping young girls who have been molested and taken advantage of. Me Too is still a thing in everyday life. And it has nothing to do with a fucking casting couch. I watched the morning show with Reese Witherspoon, and she was one of the ones that brought it to the stage and then had to go apologize to the Black woman for doing it. But then when she did, she talked about it on her show. And they're trying to bring back Me Too as a Hollywood thing. It is not a Hollywood thing. It's a young girls in trouble thing. When our fathers and our cousins and our uncles are touching us when they should not be. And I can say Me Too. That's what the Me Too movement was about. It was never about casting couch issues. It was never about Bill Cosby giving somebody a pill when a grown ass woman took a pill and said, "Oh, he took advantage." It was never about a girl going to Mike Tyson's room at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, "Oh, he raped me." Y'all don't, you know what? Let me read it back. But staying true to this cause, the woman is still there, and I cannot remember her name right now, but the Black woman that started Me Too is still down for the cause. And Hollywood has grown silent in the issue. Black lives still matter because they always matter. And that's still a cause, but it's not at the forefront of news because it's not as triggering anymore. So we've allowed media to control our level of dedication to stuff. And while this is why I say, y'all don't know what I'm dedicated to unless I tell you. And once I tell you, I don't be silent about it. Who I help as a Black person is who I help as a Black person. And like, even when I talk to Vanya, and Vanya's been one of my clients, Black people would be mad at me for helping Vanya and asking me why I'm not helping a Black person. Why is that your business? But I'm still dedicated to changing, to having social change as far as how people treat other people in other countries, as if the US is the magic bullet to getting you all your money. Fuck that. And yes, I'm a US citizen. So to understand the level of dedication that you bring to something, it does not change. And nobody can make you change it, but it does not have to be at the top of everybody's voice. It just has to be at the top of the right voices. And as long as you stay true to it, the community and the culture that you build around your personal brand, trust and believe they're going to connect with it. A lot of people are going to get mad about this piece of the conversation, and that's okay. You can come at me, because trust and believe, I'm not going to back down on nothing I said, because I said it with my whole chest. I'm dedicated to these things because I want to be, because I choose to be. Now, whether they're all a part of my business and how I do business, only the people that I actually do business with will ever know. But what I said right here, right now, sweetie, I'm dedicated to all of it. So it's understanding that you get to be dedicated to some things that it's not part of the trendy, oh, you know what, let's jump on the bandwagon. I want to be an advocate. I want to be a voice in the wind. Miss me with the bullshit. Again, because that's where we're going.
Oh shit, let's have some applause, guys. Let's have some applause for Phyllis for throwing some good stuff. I appreciate the honesty, and I appreciate you sharing all that stuff. See, this conversation might offend a lot of people, but we're just trying to discover the truth, and we're just trying to debunk this whole personal branding stuff, because a lot of people out there who is actually selling garbage in the name of personal brand. I want to dissect it, and we're going to actually tell the world how this thing works, and how to classify it, and how to do this stuff, how to play the game right. So my next question, Phyllis, which I have is, you spoke about leading by example in the context of personal branding. How do you think brand leaders can guide others, like myself and many others who are listening to this conversation, through an ethical dilemma and challenges? Yes.
You know what? Well, even before Cass, and I talk about Cass because she is the ethical strategist. And for full transparency, yes, Cass has been a client, and every once in a while we still do talk about some shit. But the thing that I think is lacking in a lot of what we see in businesses today is the ethical side. Because we have decided that content is king, and because we decided that, you know what, we need to have a stage. What we have done is we've thrown ethics to the back. And how we define it, everybody wants to change dictionary definitions now. It's like, well, that's not what it means to me. How often have we heard that? Come on now. And it does not change the definition. It's just saying, you know what, I don't want to comply with this. And if you're not going to comply, then what is ethical for you? Because what is ethical for you is not ethical for everyone. And what is ethical in your business does not have to fit industry standards. Because the industry might tell you to do shit that goes against what you believe, what you want, how you feel. And yes, I'm gonna put some feelings in that. So when you have to stand against something, when you have to be ethical in taking this thing and saying, you know what, I'm okay, and someone's trying to knock you down, especially someone bigger than you, when there's a louder voice and they're trying to drag your ass, then what are you gonna do? Are you gonna stay ethical? Or are you going to bow? Are you going to break? Or are you going to be resilient? Are you going to go ahead and bend a little bit, but are you going to come back strong? Because resilience, all resilience is, I don't know if you guys have ever had that punching toy with the bozo face that you hit him and he just rocks and gets back up. If you're going to be true to this, and ethical standards say that you're going to be true to this, that's what's going to happen. You're going to feel like you got knocked down. But because I'm ethically within my rights to do this thing, it does not have to be agreed with. It does not have to be accepted. It is just this is what it is for me. And so if we're going to have this ethical conversation and someone's going to disagree with you, are you going to change your mind, or are you going to stand your ground? And I'm not saying go out here and argue. I'm not saying go out here and have disagreements. It's just, you know what? It just is what it is. How about we agree to disagree? How about we be some grown ass people and say, you know what? We just don't agree on this. And that's okay. I still love you. I'm still cool with you. I'm still okay with you. And if you understand these things, then you don't have to change your ethics for anyone. And it may go against everybody that's even in your family. Because I know I have. I was raised in the church. And if y'all know church folks, oh my goodness, y'all, some of y'all have heard the term holy rollers. That's how I was raised, holy roller. And the things that I now believe that are ethically my standpoint goes against some of the things I learned in the church. I'm not going to be blasphemous about it. Never. I'm not going to be disrespectful, but sweetie, I don't agree anymore. And again, this goes back to personal brands having the ability to mature. Because as you go out here and you network and you grow and you engage and you collaborate and you partner, sweetie, you're growing. You're expanding. When you step outside your comfort zone, when you step in front of a new audience, you're growing and you've learned something new about yourself. So you know what? I get to mature. I'm not saying I've changed my mind. I'm saying I've fucking grown. Something in me has grown and blossomed that, you know what, let me think about this a little bit. We go back to contemplation. Is this right for me? This is my ethical standpoint. And when people try to push their ethical standpoint to pick a fight, that's not what this is about. We're just saying, you know what, I'm gonna stay dedicated, and this is go look up the word ethics. Or better yet, go talk to Cass and get your policies and procedures together so that when you do have a staff, you already have the things in place to make sure that, you know what, my policies and procedures are based on how I ethically see how I want to grow my business, how I want to make my money, who I will accept money from. Will I take a grant from a company that I don't believe in, but because they're offering me money? Sweetie, where's the ethical stand in that? It's like, well, hell, I may as well go on and make it because I know that dynamic. I know that dilemma. Because when you're broke and when you're trying to build a business and you want to be associated with some big names, are you doing the ethical thing for you? Or are you just knocking down and staying down? Because then again, we're going back to the bullshit. It's all tied together. It all goes together. And that's why I talk about this whole code. Contemplation, objectives, dedication, and ethics. It's a code. And when you write this code, this becomes part of your core message. And that's why part of the book, that last part that ties up, you need to code to the core. And by the code to the core, I'm talking about the core message of what you want to put out into the world. You don't have to ask people, well, what do you want me to show you? What do you want me to give to you? And because when you're doing this is because you ran out of your own shit. You don't know what else to give them. And you haven't been branding and marketing your business well enough that people are actually being attracted to it. So you want to go back and ask them, well, what do you need me to do for you? Instead of you saying, you know what, this is what I have to offer, and marketing it to the right people. I'm gonna shut up now because I think because I can keep going for real.
But what you said, it makes absolute sense, and I follow you completely. And Phyllis, the thing which I like to ask you though, in the event, when people are doing their marketing and they're trying to promote their stuff, when you don't hear any applause and when you don't receive the acknowledgement of those efforts, what would you tell those individuals who are really struggling, really trying to push, and they don't see results or outcomes happening from those efforts? What would you say to those individuals? What should people do in that case?
In those cases, if you guys know the analogy of hunt, farm, or what is it? Hunt, farm, or trap. Hunting means you go out and get the sale. Trap means you attract and trap shit. And then farm means you cultivate any referrals that you or what am I saying? Cultivate based on referrals. And this is how you grow your business. So if you're not having the big impact you want on a larger scale, I have a client that wants to do social media. They want to be big on social media, but most of their business comes from referral. So we're switching up his marketing strategy from not necessarily social selling or social media marketing. It's like, oh no, we're going to write a love letters to the clients that you like the best. Not all of them, just the ones that gave you the most favorable experience in working with them. We're going to write love letters to them. We're going to create a brag book like Vanya created. We're going to create a brag book and say, you know what? When you find somebody that's as great as you are and that has a great working relationship that we appreciate so much, why don't you hand them this brag book? Then that whoever they share this with, they don't have to go out and say, oh my, how much do you charge? It's already in the brag book. Well, how do you work together? It's already in the brag book. And you're cultivating this thing. So, and then if you have somebody that you're on this platform as a part of social networking, and you're saying, you know what, I would love to work with them. Don't say, oh my God, the spam that is in my inbox lately is pissing me off. Seriously. But if you come in somebody's like, you know what? One of the things, and I'm not going to throw this because the person that I'm talking about is on the call and I ain't going to tell y'all who it is. But it's like one of the things that you need to do is just reach out to these particular people. You start making these connections, and it's not about the sale, it's about the conversation. And did I hear that from you, Brian? Give me a thumbs up if I heard that from you today, if that was one of the things we were talking about. And I think it was Brian. We were talking about this today. But we're so busy trying to pitch and sell people instead of trying to build relationships. I promise you, if you build a relationship, the sale will come, and it might not even come from them. Because one of the things, like y'all don't know, I smoke cigars. My husband smokes meats. That's the thing. That's the thing for us. But my husband is usually the one that buys my cigars. He doesn't even know what flavor or what kind I want or what brand I'm loyal to at this stage. What he does, he walks into a store. He said, "Oh, they have a cigar section." He said, "My wife," he says, "My wife, she likes chocolate, she likes coffee, and she likes sweet. What kind of cigars you got?" And he'll accept what they give him. And that's how I get to try a lot of different cigars. And it's not that a brand is being sold to me, but brands are being picked up by association. And so the thing about you is when you go out and you start having these relationships, because Neil knows the man at the liquor store with the cigars. That's Benny. I don't even know Benny, but I know Benny through my husband because my husband is always talking about Benny. And it has nothing to do with me ever stepping in that store. And so when you guys start to develop these relationships on LinkedIn, instead of trying to sell and pitch to everybody that's out there and just have the relationship, somebody's going to be in the room. They're going to say, you know what? Adriana was talking about that shit today. She said, and somebody, who is Adriana? Oh, here, let me send you her link. And it was all because you guys have a relationship. You never tried to pitch or sell them anything. They know what you do. If you're talking and branding your business right, they already know. So they don't need you to be in the room to go and shout you out. Now, there are some people you're going to come on a little strong with, you know what? I saw your shit and please let me help you. That's what Vanya did to me. Vanya saw my book cover that I self-created. He's like, nah, Brandma. That's how I ended up hiring Vanya because my book covers were shit. And so I ended up hiring Vanya to do my book. It started off as a book cover, but then it became my website. And Vanya has redone all my cheat sheets. He has done all of my shit. He's created my badges. And he just did this whole amazing thing for my for my brand, for Brandma's house. But in the process of building all this for Brandma's house, he made a little bit of shit for, you know what, the Ghetto Country Grandmother. So I have my own little piece of brand that's visual because Vanya saw fit to create those things. And so all you need to do is start developing relationships. And I don't want you to just consider it networking because relationships are valuable and you don't always have to be there in order for someone to buy from you. Like I said, my husband buys cigars from all over the place and I don't have to be there in order for him to pick out a brand. It's the people that work there that know the brands that are referring them. So That's my 2 cents on that.
That is incredible. That is lovely. All right. I know Melanie is eager to actually, for you to speak about ego. So let's deep dive into that topic. Okay, ego. All right. So my
Oh
question
God.
is, how do you interpret the concept of ego as it relates to personal branding and self-esteem? And what role, according to you, does ego play in building a strong and authentic brand identity?
Okay, in personal branding, I talk about brand ego. I don't talk about personal ego. Because if I put my personal ego on the line, I am very sensitive. Y'all would not think so, but I am very sensitive. My feelings can get hurt real easy. So, what I have is brand ego. And the brand ego is based on the fact that I'm confident in what I do and what I do well. I don't come out here braggadocious talking about it. I just share my shit with you. And so my brand ego is such that in the book, brand ego comes from communication with an audience that I can market to and position my personal brand in. That is how you set up camp. So when you're setting up camp, how you set up your camp is based on your brand ego that got this lead from the brand identity, which was your DNA code. So again, all this shit is tied together. And we're only talking about personal branding and how this personal brand is tied to the business brand to make that alignment. So when I talk about brand ego, sweetie, is because this is the way I communicate to an audience that I want to market to and to position myself in the industry in. It's how you set up camp. It is not about you getting your feelings hurt because someone said no, they don't want to buy from you. It is staying consistent and true to the game that this is how I set up my camp. So if I want to have this brand ego and say, you know what, I do strategic personal branding. I don't do personal branding like that. I do strategic personal branding because part of doing strategic personal branding means that it has to align with the business that you want to grow and scale. And if you only want to grow and scale to a certain point, then okay, how are we going to continue to make sure that we make more money? Because inflation is a bitch. But I only want a 5-man team, but I want to continue to grow my income. We have to figure that shit out. So when the personal brand shows up and says this, and this, how does it impact the business brand? And now how do we make sure that everyone else is out here vocalizing the shit that I said that I wanted and I said that I'm going to get? It's all about it's about the brand ego. And the thing that it gets to do, the brand ego gets to feed the business brand. And you get to endorse. If you guys understand brand architecture, there are part of brand architecture, some of the terms in brand architecture. Damn it, I'm talking too fast because I get excited about this shit. Brand architecture, brand architecture, there's a term in there called parent brand. Parent brands are the ones that everything else comes after. So if you look at it from a business perspective, and I can only use a business because this is where the term normally exists. Parent brands like Apple. Apple is a parent brand, and everything that comes after is Macintosh. And even though we don't say Macintosh anymore, it's the iMac, the iPhone, all of the products are under the parent brand of Apple. And so if Ghetto Country Grandmother is the parent brand, then Brandma's House is a sub brand of that parent brand. This is one of the kids that I have. When Branding University became a thing, Branding University is one of the sub brands. And so when your personal brand is the parent brand of everything that it gives birth to after, then, like I said, your ego is okay. Because this is not, I didn't name my company after me. And for you guys that did, no shade, no shade. I can't hate on you on something you already did. If you choose to change it, that's fine. But when you name your business or you have a parent brand that has a name, then it gives birth to so many things that can follow. So there's Brandma's House. My clients are my brand babies. My house has PB and Slay instead of PB and J. And so there's all these different things that now can fit within this parent brand that becomes a thing. It's also the opportunity for the personal brand to become an endorser brand. And to endorse your business is not to get out here and say, come buy my shit. It's not to constantly walk around with a pitch on your lips whenever you meet someone and trying to sling your business card at them. It is like, I am endorsing my business, especially if you know you don't want to stay an employee or a business of one. So if you're going to go out here and you're going to be a parent brand and an endorser brand, how do I endorse my business without trying to make it feel like it's just me? So I can stop with this whole imposter thing that everyone is telling me that I have. So if I'm endorsing my business, I can say, you know what? In Brandma's House, this is what we do. And even though there's only there, my we includes me and whoever I happen to bring in and let go and all that kind of stuff, it's a we thing. And while and the we could just be me and Brandma, because Phyllis and Brandma can work together because I see them as two different parts of myself. It's kind of like some crazy split personality Sybil shit, if y'all know who Sybil is. But it's the parent brand. Brian, stop laughing. It's the parent brand and the endorser brand that takes the brunt of everything else that you push out here to go make your money. Did I answer that
Yeah,
question, Jason?
absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay,
Okay. So let's give people a little more context because people may not know
okay.
completely who you are and the bifurcation of all those brands which you did. Okay. So so can you do the same thing in the context of Apple and bifurcate it and then explain the endorsement piece so that people have a little more context to this?
Okay, let's see. How many of you guys know, y'all know FedEx, right? So FedEx is a parent brand. Give me a thumbs up if you know who FedEx is. Now, all y'all have sent a FedEx package
Yeah.
in your
Come
corporate
on,
jobs and
guys.
your regular jobs.
God,
So
you
you're
don't know
driven by
FedEx. Come on.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, FedEx is a parent brand. But if you look at FedEx, go by your house, there's FedEx Air, there's FedEx Freight, there's FedEx Overnight. All those are sub brands of FedEx, the parent brand. And so what it means is that if FedEx Freight just decided to jump off and be its own thing and become a separate whole another brand over here by itself, it could stand alone. If the rest of FedEx fell apart and the only thing that was left was Overnight, you will still understand that, you know what, this is a brand that can stand by itself. Parent brands are things that can stand by themselves, but then you get to endorse everything that comes out of it. A different kind of brand, a house of brands, is something like PG&E. PG&E owns Crest, Nestle, and whatever else falls under their umbrella. That's a house of brands. All those individual brands get to do their own thing. And the reason why it's so hard for me to kind of like talk about these things and do these things, one, I don't agree with most people who do personal branding, but I'm not going to tear up their house. I'm just going to stay on my own stage and I'm going to talk my own shit. But then the other part is that when we're out here and we're talking about brand architecture and we're talking to independent business owners, or because I'm tired of using the word small business. It's just business is business. If I'm making my fucking money, don't call me small. As an independent business, when we're doing all these things and we're trying to develop our brand architecture, then what does that look like when I endorse the things that I want? Cass has, and I'm using people that I know and that I work with. That's why you guys hear me mention their names. Cass is in the audience, and I'm talking about her. But Cass is the ethical strategist. But her shit is all about her humming sessions, and it's the way she hums through a process that makes the magic happen. Because y'all know people do shit fast. Hummingbirds are fast, and so the way she hums through stuff, when she says she's going to have a humming session, it's like, you know what? Tell me your shit. Because one of the things we used to fuss about when we were in a client relationship was Cass would always tell me, I have to have a conversation. Oh, we need more than a conversation. And it was just a whole different fight for us. Trust and believe, it was a whole different fight. But it's that part of understanding, what do you want to come out of this? How are you going to figure out what your products and services are? Because when you give them a name, instead of saying VIP session, how can we align this with the parent brand or the endorser brand? Because FedEx can endorse freight, overnight. What's the other one? What I say? The
Regular
slow one,
FedEx,
ground.
Air.
Yeah, ground.
Mm-hmm.
And you will see they all have the same thing. But now you will start to notice, if you haven't noticed before, because I know I'm not the first person to have this conversation, but you will notice the different colors for the Fed part of FedEx for each sub brand that they have. There's green, there's orange, there's blue. You can go look at their site and see that every sub brand has its own color. Because what they also want you to do, they want you to associate that color, especially if you're like their prime freight kind of client or customer. They want you to know when you see that one. I'm just guessing at the color, but every time you see an orange FedEx, you know it's some freight shit. You recognize it. So you get to say, you know what? I need to call them because I need to have something picked up. When you see the green, oh, I got to overnight some shit. You don't even have to see the whole FedEx. It's just the color and the word Fed that now makes that connection in your brain. And part of what branding and marketing is, if y'all don't know, it's a mind fuck. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it just is. because part of what positioning is taking up space in people's heads. And while people will say, oh, your brand is what other people say it is, no, it's not. It's the narrative that I want it to be. Because if somebody's thinking the wrong thing, then it's my job to set them straight, because I'm the one that controls the narrative of the brand that I'm building. And this is why personal brands get to say this, this, and this. My personal brand is constantly endorsing these things. My personal brand is constantly speaking up, because what I hear a lot of you do, and one thing, y'all, Brian Drake down there, if y'all in Chase, oh my God, he's an amazing man in talking about Chase products now. And I've watched him develop, because I know what he was trying to do before, and I know what he does now, and he does it so much better because he is true to this. He's not new to this. And so you're able to constantly do these things that are just so eloquently rolling off your tongue and endorsing and being a parent of. And it does not require you to be an actual parent, no. But I'm telling you, brand ego, bringing that shit to the forefront and being okay and saying that shit with your whole chest. Alex, Dr. Alexandria down there, she says it with her whole chest, the stuff that her whole spice system. I don't remember what spice stands for, but I know it's not the shit you put on your food. Because I follow her and I listen to her, and her core message is, you know what? There's this thing that we need to do in order to change how we feel and how we act and how we see ourselves. And it's a thing. She's a fucking concierge doctor. I told her she's on my wish list. I want to make enough money to afford her. I know that for me. Because like I said, she ain't tried to sell me shit. I just decided I like what she does. I want her on my wish list of things that I plan to have for myself. I want her to be my doctor. It's a thing.
That is so incredible, Phyllis. Make people fall in love with you and what you do. Business will come, opportunities will come, and don't be so desperate. Like, right? Be calm, be composed, do your shit, and let your work speak for itself. And people
Let Jason talk you into doing rap videos.
Vanya, I'm just letting you know, you may have to do, a few other things for her. A rap video is on the pipeline. I'm trying to push her to, get that thing running, but I'm just letting you know. But, time for actually Q&A, guys, So if anybody is interested in coming up and asking Phyllis some questions, please raise your hand. This is the opportunity. Adriana, I know you wanted to come up, so please raise your hand. Let me bring those people up. Please utilize this opportunity because we will be wrapping in a few minutes. So please ask any questions as you desire. Please remember this conversation is being recorded and it will be uploaded on Spotify, Apple, and all other platforms as a part of this podcast. So welcome. I'm going to start with Adriana because she was the first person to raise her hand when I initially was speaking about it. So Adriana, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Do you have a question? Would you like to contribute or just simply say hi?
Hello, Phyllis. Hello, Jason. Hello, everybody. Thank you for giving me the mic. I was very excited to be here, and I'm glad to be with all of you. So I'm Adriana Chandru. As it said, my profile, I'm the founder of Restart and the digital and social media creative strategist, and enough with bragging to say that. I actually have two questions, if you allow me, please. I promise it will be quick and sweet. Can I put both of them?
Absolutely, please.
Thank you so much. I will start with a more interesting one for Phyllis. Hello, Phyllis.
Hi, honey.
First, I admire you a lot. You have so much courage. I don't think I will ever have that courage. And you rock. You are very cool. And my question for you is this. It's kind of a challenge. If you were allowed to only give a single piece of advice for the rest of your life about personal branding and growth, but not allowed to use the word courage or similar words, what would it be?
Yeah.
How I used to talk about courage is own your crazy.
So cool.
Seriously, own your crazy. Whatever you think it is that sets you apart, own it and make it happen.
Oh my God, this was so powerful. For me, it was very hard to accept my craziness and to go with my creative mind and I don't know, all kind of stuff. Whoa, thank you. I will for sure put that on my fridge right after this event. The second one, I will be a speaker at a festival. I don't know if I'm allowed to say what festival, Jason?
Absolutely, Adriana. Please go
Say
ahead.
it.
Promote as much as you
Amen.
want, please.
Okay, it's Fall Leadership Festival. I will talk about 3 ways I lead myself in life, in work. And I was wondering, how can I make the best of the time I spent on the stage to promote my personal brand, my wonderful, I don't know, personality and so on, and also my work without taking the stage, without talking too much about myself.
You don't make it about you. You make it about your clients and your work.
Okay.
It's just that thing. It's like, okay, and if you're going to talk about it, it's like, okay, let me make this point. And you make the point, you say, so within my business, one of the things that we always gravitate towards, or one of the things that we always do, or one of the things that we make sure that our clients get, you don't have to say I do anything. It's this is a thing within my business. This has to be a thing. This has to be at the forefront. This has to be involved. So you find a way to use adjectives to explain it. But then, like I say, you take the eyes off of you and you put it on the product, the service, or the experience. And that's how you get to own it without saying, you know what, I am so fucking amazing. You will not believe it. But when actuality is, you know what, my clients are fucking amazing. Because when they start doing these things and they start having this impact and their business starts to change, when they go from charging hundreds of dollars to charging thousands of dollars, that's a thing for me. That's what I want to see. And if that's what you want, let's talk about it. So just take you out of it. And like I said, you're endorsing the business, the brand, the services, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be about you. And technically it's not, because especially if you plan to grow and scale. If you plan to grow and scale, you do not want to make it about you, because everybody wants to know the owner. That's the sucky part about being the owner. Everybody figures if they can reach the top, then I can say whatever I want. I know the owner. Yeah, don't do that.
Thank you so much. I think it's very valuable, and I will keep this in mind. Thank you.
You're welcome, sweetie.
Awesome. Awesome, Adriana. I appreciate you being here and asking those lovely questions. I'm glad you own your crazy, have that magnet. Once you have it, please do not hesitate to put, send me a picture actually. I will post it on my wall. Send me a picture once you do that.
Crazy one.
The
Okay.
crazy.
Yes, I love that.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Please continue to be on stage. Brian, let's hear from you. Brian, welcome. Thank you so much. This is the first time you're coming here. Once again, I just want to remind you we are recording this conversation. I hope you're all right with that. And do you have a question, comment, or would you like to say hi?
So I'll do all three. I'm laughing at Phyllis. Jason, this is an amazing room. I've got 2 questions. I'll introduce myself a little bit about who I am. I'm the founder of Content Creation University. I teach thought leaders and founders and change makers how to use content, conversations, and things like these LinkedIn audio rooms to build trust and visibility. And Phyllis, my first question is, how in the fuck have we not had a conversation sooner? And the second question is, where can I get your book?
You know what, sweetie? And this is the thing, because I often say I'm not a one-to-many type person. So I'm not trying to run up my numbers just to arbitrarily run up my numbers. I'm not trying to have a big following. I'm just trying to have the right following. And I'm not even sure how we connected, but we did recently connect. And mind you, I just had a conversation with Brian before I got on this call, and he reached out to me. But this is the thing. You guys need to show up for certain things. If you're a fit, don't go up trying to take over somebody else's stage. That is a thing, especially like with stuff like this, with audio lives. If you have something of value to add it. If you need to introduce yourself, go ahead and move on. Because if you're trying to manipulate somebody else's stage for your own gain, trust me, I see you. That's some shady ass shit, and it is not working for anybody. And it means that you don't have enough pull on your own that you have to go hijack somebody else's stage, and that's some fuckery. Okay? That's a bad move. But like I said, I met Brian on another audio call, and all I do is I speak my level of truth for my business. And so if you have some level of truth that can add to someone's conversation, if you can ask a genuine question, if you really want to know, don't get up there trying to make up some bullshit question just so you can get on stage so somebody can see you. That shit happened all throughout Clubhouse. And now we see where Clubhouse is. Okay? But if you can actually add to the conversation with a genuine question, or have something genuine to offer, if they're telling you that you can offer something, then don't try to hijack it. Just speak your truth. You don't have to sound as intelligent or more intelligent. I tell everybody my first language is bad English, not English. I don't get up here and I don't try to do some of any and everything. Stop laughing, Brian. So I don't know how we didn't meet until recently, but I am glad we met because we got some shit we gonna have to put in the works. And your other question for how to book me, just let me know. You got my DMs and you know how to reach me now. So we're good. We're good.
I got to know all of that. We got to keep this going, you know. And to follow up with what you said, we met yesterday. Like I actually had a chance to hear you yesterday. I've been following you for a while, but you
Mm-hmm.
stepped into one of our audio rooms yesterday morning, and you were dropping gems about your daughter and how you turned her on to the business. And you know, I'm the
Mm-hmm.
dadpreneur, so that caught my attention. And from there, we just kind of kept going. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Thanks for having me up, Jason.
Absolutely, Brian. I love your podcast voice. It sounds really cool. I am positive you have a podcast.
Thanks, bro.
All right, so we have one more individual on stage, and that will be the last person we're gonna have for Q&A. Jay, welcome. Thank you so much for joining this conversation. This is being recorded. Just want to let you know. Do you have a question? Would you like to contribute to anything, or just simply say hi to me and Phyllis?
So all of the above. Thank you, Jason, for allowing this room and for allowing me to come on stage and to say hi to Phyllis, the Brandma. And when I heard this the first time the other day, I thought she is a genius, an absolute genius. And then her story that went along with it, even better. I was hooked. I was totally hooked, already invested in what she was saying. So I just no fuckery, just flowers for real. Um, I just really think that what I've heard, even just now, and what was being discussed, I mean, let's let's call a spade a spade. It's
Don't worry.
really, man, it's genius, right? These are, and it's this is something that you won't get off the streets. This is something that you're going to have to come up in, learn through, grow through, and then come out with. And I've been in the South long enough to know the phrase "show up and show out."
You better say that. I was born in Cali, but my mama and them from Texas.
You see what I'm saying? I see. I know. I can feel it already. This is the thing. This is what Brian and I and the Fam Five we call alignment. You know, a lot of people might say, "Oh, that's some woo woo stuff, man," but it's real.
It's
It
real.
really is real. When you get around people, once you start moving in circles and places and things where you start feeling a connection to things, it's just going to grow exponentially. And this is the evolution of LinkedIn. And this is the power of growing community and your brand in that community on LinkedIn. And I think she says this, Phyllis, you say this great in such a way that everybody can understand. Everybody can get on board with. And I was just, and I'll tell you the truth. I was already DMing Brian there. I was like, I knew I loved her. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I have me a cigar already ready to go because of you. Um,
Oh, shut up. What kind?
Me, I like me a little, maybe I love me a Camacho.
Really? I like Camachos.
So,
Um, but like I said, I'm into the sweet tip. So Isla del Sol. Oh, yes.
mm,
One of my favorites. One of my favorites. But we're not gonna get on a cigar. We're not gonna hijack Jason's conversation.
absolutely not, absolutely not. But I'm just saying, I got one ready because you said it, and I'm feeling it.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
Okay, we're back, Jason.
Yeah. No, it's all right. It's all right. I would have asked you the question about the cigar anyways. So this is super cool. So I'm glad we had a fantastic conversation. But before we wrap up, I want to actually build some momentum towards our next episode. So, Phyllis, the mic is on you. Just tell us, because next week we're going to be speaking about boundaries. So give people a little context, because I know you're very passionate about this. And while I was reading your book, you spoke about boundaries and you said a lot of fuck that, blur the line. And you also said trying to walk the blurry line. So give us a little context so that we have a little momentum for next week's show.
No problem. Part of what you do when you're creating a personal brand, because a lot of us live out loud or we brand out loud, we have forsaken relationships for an audience because we're trying to grow our audience in order to be seen and heard, and we put way too much shit out there. But part of boundaries that need to take place, if you know how to create boundaries in your life, you need to know how to create boundaries in your personal brand. So if there are certain things that you don't want to bring to the conversation, and Jay, you talk about old school. My mama said, "Don't start none, won't be none." Okay, so if there's stuff that you don't want within your personal brand, then don't start it. I don't care if it does bring you money. It's going to end up bringing you heartache because now you got to go back and fix the shit that you started. So creating boundaries around what it is that you talk about, the way that you and I don't want to say necessarily be about, but yes, you got to be about your business. And you do that in such a way that you create the boundaries of letting people know this is the message. This is the message that I stick with. This is the conversation when I'm in my business mode. When I'm outside of business mode, oh, sweetie, come on. We're going to sit down. We're going to pour a bourbon. We're going to have a cigar, and we're going to talk some shit. We're going to talk about family. We're going to talk about the last time my mama whipped my ass. We're going to talk about the car I tore up after I had it for 2. We're going to talk about all of that. But that's only outside the boundaries of me doing my business, because this is not business related. Because if you want to ask me, well, how's my husband? Do you know him? Outside of the context of he's the voice within my promos? No. So why are you asking me about my husband? Why are you asking me about my daughter? Because if you think I'm protective about this dude, I'm sure going to be protective about my 16-year-old. I am one crazy person away from a Lifetime movie if you fuck with my kid, period. So creating those boundaries of what do you actually want to bring to the table? What do you want to mature into? Because there are certain things that you're starting off with now that you're going to have to mature into because they're outside of your comfort zone. But you know that you can do these things. So it's like, you know what? This is going to be how I brought my boundaries. This is how I'm going to open my space. So it's also preparing for that level of growth that you want to sit in front of CEOs and CFOs and whoever owes in order to build your brand, your network, your reach, your stretch, your audience, your speaking, whatever it is. Knowing where those boundaries are. If your boundaries is only, y'all can't see me holding up my fingers as if y'all can see me, but I'm holding up a circle. But if your boundary is only this big right now, but you know you wanted to grow to this big, and I just made my circle bigger, then what is that going to look like? And how are you going to push yourself outside that comfort zone? Because one of the things that people truly need to understand about overall branding, it's not about where you are, it's about where you want to go. So the message to get you to where you want to go, the people you want to connect with to get to where you want to go, the products and services that you create to get to where you want to grow. Those are all the things that, you know what, my boundaries need to come out a little more. It's not about adding more services. It's not about adding more products. It's about growth. And you can do that with one freaking product. And if that's all you have, trust and believe the exponential growth for that one thing can reach millions. Just trust and believe. So get ready for some boundaries. Yes. Come on with it, Jason. I'm done. I haven't talked to
Oh, this is incredible. So we're going to be speaking about boundaries on next week's shows. Just in case if you guys are new, so I host my podcast on LinkedIn. So I do it live. Everything is recorded live. No editing, no bullshit. It's, how exactly you heard it, that's how it's going to go onto my show. No editing at all. The real shit. And it's recorded live at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. So next week we will speak about boundaries with Phyllis. And we're going to continue this series. I have like a 6-part mini series which I have thought So 3 is already done. So next week is going to be the 4th episode as a part of this continuation of this series. So please follow me. Okay, when you follow me, I would highly encourage you to click that bell button and select all notifications. I don't spam, I don't send unnecessary messages. I only post content about podcasting and things related to podcasts, and especially my shows, which I do. I'm positive, all those things which I post would give you value if you were to start up your podcast. So, on that note, I wanted to thank all the 11 individuals who I see down there, starting with Vanya, Cass, Brian, Tracy, Julianne, Brian again, Dr. Alexandra, Una, Anna, Deborah, and everybody else who was listening to us all at this till this very end. I thank you all for giving us your ears. I thank you all for hearing our voices out and our perspective. I'm sure you guys have got value. I'm not the one who's going to determine how the value affect your personal life, but if it did, please give us a shout out. We would love to know how it affected your life and your business decisions and what that has transcribed and transformed into. That would really be awesome. Thank you, Phyllis, once again for making this a dope ass episode. Like last time, we would surely be watching and waiting for your rap video very soon. Okay, and take care of yourself, guys. Have a lovely afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you're in the world. Take care.